Let's move that around here. Okay, and okay. Let me go here too. I'm just trying to make sure that the focus is right. For those of you that are already tuned in, let me know. Am I sounding okay? Is the video sharpness all right? The usual checks here before I start going and discover several minutes into this that things are messed up. And computer number 2. Let's make sure the sound is turned off, so if I get pop-ups, those will not be an issue. Looks good, video good, outstanding. It's funny, I haven't done a video since last Friday, and the response from you guys has been, well, frankly, quite impressive, if not a little flattering. I had several people, and when I say several, it's about 10 people that had messaged through the Facebook page and said, when are you going live again? We want to see what happens with the FT6. You know, where are you at with this thing? Yeah, this is this microphone wants to be directly on you, so I try to. Oh, look, the cats are making an appearance already. So yeah, I need to get myself a lavalier that will plug into the laptop, and that would be ideal. I do have a lavalier set up, but it's set up to work with the camera and the laptop. This is the brand new laptop that I picked up in March, and it does not have a jack for the microphone to go into. So I would have to either get a converter or ideally, with all the people that live stream and do things like this, buy the right equipment. So let me start with the basics. I sometimes forget to do this, but if you've never seen me before, if you've never been on my channel before, good evening. My name is Paul. This is my YouTube channel where nerdy is cool. Basically, I'm huge into 3D printing. I mean, I'm as you can see in the back corner here, I got a BB-8 under construction. I've built an R2-D2, Stormtrooper, other stuff. So, I mean, I've just got a ton of nerdy hobbies, and I've wrapped them all into this one channel. So, welcome. If you have, like I said, if you haven't seen me before, or if you're not a subscriber, hit the button in the corner and become a subscriber. And furthermore, as well, if you like the video, if you like what's going on, give me a thumbs up. So I mentioned last month, and again, I wanted to say thank you again. But thanks to your contributions, a lot of people have been hitting the super chat button there. That's down the bottom as well. They've also been hitting the PayPal link, which is in the description. And you guys have been great. I've been getting a little bit of money from PayPal and YouTube, and I put that money into the investing of actually we have a new lens on the camera. We have a new adapter that is bringing you the high definition signal from the T7i into the laptop, and then the new microphone setup. So, you know, when I get these donations, I try to throw them back into things that will make the channel better. I can't say I can do a whole lot for making the guy more handsome or what have you, but again, I just wanted to say thank you. And if you guys wish to contribute, please feel free to do so. And as you'll see, with all the parts and projects I have going, and with the equipment here, it'll certainly go to good use. So thank you, and if you keep doing that, I would really appreciate it. So tonight, I wanted to talk a little bit about where I've been at and what I've been doing this week. And yes, I did shave. The beard gets to a certain length where it's just like, this has got to go. So this afternoon when I came back from the gym and I was cleaning up after that, I was like, yeah, I think this is the night. It's got to go. So the beard is gone. The FT6, well, where do I start? The last place that we left off, I think on last Friday's Nerd Chat, we had begun the install of the BL Touch into the FT6. Now, there's a couple of neat things that have been going on in the FT6 community on the Folgertech Facebook page. One thing we discovered, and I don't know if I have it sitting over here or not. Do I have the spare one? It will probably turn up after I turn the cameras off tonight. Well, oh, here it is. Haha. I have a prop. Okay, so several people, and I think at least 2 or 3 that I know of, have had issues with their FT6s because the PCB here that goes on the printhead carriage, one of the issues is that the trace that's within the PCB where the power is routed around this PCB is unfortunately dangerously close to one of these openings where a screw would go. And actually, I can go to camera number 2 here, give you a little bit better insight here. So what's happening is in the top, you can see where a little bit of material has kind of, I'm trying to do this in reverse while holding up the camera here. So you can see where a little bit of material has come off from the nut having rubbed the surface of that PCB. Well, what's happened is if it rubs far enough, it makes contact with an electrical lead. And I know at least 2 people have had the nut make contact, and it's shorted out their electronics. And it's unfortunate when that happens, and I think the solution is going to be they're going to redo the PCB and move that trace further away from that opening. But, and I didn't bring them downstairs, but what I would suggest is if you are building an FT6, if you have an FT6, one of the things I would suggest that you do so that you don't encounter this issue is, I know I bought mine from Lowe's, but you can buy number 6 nylon spacers. And what you would do is just remove the nut and then put that nylon spacer on, and that will insulate you from making contact. And nylon washers on, yep, there you go. Exactly right, John. So just one of those things, kind of a heads up. Now, so I went to Lowe's, like I said, today, and I bought, actually, I think they're like, 4 for 66 cents or something crazy like that. And I'm sure I could get them super cheap from, overseas or Amazon or what have you. But the fact that you can get them for under $1 at Lowe's isn't, and I'm sure Home Depot has the equivalent, is a workable solution. So the other thing that I have done to my FT6 is we did the BL Touch, and what we were finding is that it would probe and then it would fail. Well, hello. Hey, $5. Thank you very much. We're going to get a pop-up here in just a moment. Dun, 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 dun. Come on. There it is. I love that stuff. Thank you, John. So, yeah, so with the BL Touch installed, I thought, okay, well, this is easy because I've had other people that have said, no, once you plug in the BL Touch and make sure you have the leads all in there correctly, you're set to go. That's right. You guys gave me beer money last week, and what did I do? I brought down my water bottle. So BL Touch, all wired up. We got it doing some probing, and there was a few things that we thought might be an issue, okay? One of the issues was in the firmware. I thought perhaps maybe the spacing was too great or not enough. Recall, I was using nylon spacers. I wasn't using bed springs, okay? And after several repeated failures, and it wasn't always at the same spot. The BL Touch would go around, and sometimes it would fail on the 5th one. Sometimes it would fail on the 10th one. It was really random where it would drop out. Hey, Jesse. So did a lot of work on that. Decided to take the spacers out, and I'm now using the bed springs because I figured, okay, let's back up a step. So if I can't make this BL Touch work electronically, let's old school this. Let's get the bed as level as we can and take a little bit some of the guesswork out, for the auto bed leveling. So the springs that come with the FT6 are very small. They don't have a whole lot of tension to them. Especially as you guys may have seen in my Facebook post, I was off by 2 millimeters. These springs aren't going to cover a 2 millimeter gap, and that's just the way that this bed seems to be. So, long story short, I went through this a while back with my CR10 before I put an easy ABL on that. And what I did is I invested in a bunch of 12 millimeter springs. Now, the ones that I went with is on philistruder.com. That's where I buy a lot of my E3D stuff. And they sell the Titan Aero extruder springs for like 99 cents each. So I figured the next time I place an order over there for something, I would just get 10 of them. So ding, 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 I had 10 of these on hand. If you have a TiVo Tornado or a CR10 or one of those knockoffs, and you've taken those springs out and replaced them with solid spacers, you could probably get away with using those springs, but they're much, much, much taller. So long story short, I've installed those 8 springs, and what I did is I went around, and it took a little bit of work, and again, we went through all the bed leveling process all over again. But now I pretty much have the bed as level as I can using these more powerful springs. And it took a lot of messing with the Z. It took a lot of doing the M211, you know, stopping and getting rid of the end stops temporarily to get everything level again. Now the fun begins. So I figured, okay, great. So what I've done is I've taken the margin of error for the BL Touch by putting springs in the bed and making the bed as close to the nozzle as I can. Well, it turns out that, and again, this is one of those issues where Facebook is great because Facebook groups specifically has the audience. If you want to ask a question and you need an answer in a timely manner, you go to the Facebook group where, you know, thousands of guys, you know, are cruising through there and can help you out. What would probably be better is, you know, making use of like a forum, you know, like the Folgertech forum, for example, or other web forums, because it's a whole lot easier to search those. I discovered when I was doing a search in the Folgertech Facebook group that if you did a search, you would see that it has like 25 comments, and when you would click on it, it would show you the post, but it wouldn't expand and show you all the posts under there. The workaround is you have to right-click and open in a new tab, and then it will display the entire post and all the comments that were made. So it's like, wow, this is a lot of work just to make this thing work. Well, yeah, John, you make a good point. The one thing that I encountered, solid spacers are good. I have them on the CR10S, and they've been fantastic. The Easy ABL is a very good probe, and my hope was with the FT6 I could use solid spacers on that, but unfortunately my FT6 bed is not very flat. My platform is not very flat, so solid spacers are, say that 5 times fast, solid spacers are not a solution until some modifications I made to this bed to level it out. Maybe that's going to be, you know, Keith Ward's parts that he's offering for the FT5 and the FT6. But anyway, before I go down that path, so upon searching, it turns out that a lot of people have gone through this pain with the BL Touch, and it seems that the solution that I have found is that first of all, we need to go ahead and just, let me grab the wire here. I need to just break down and direct wire that Y motor with stepper cable. Now, I'm kind of lucky in a way because I did manage to locate 1.5 meter, okay, of stepper wire. So, okay, that's good. But the problem is that, of course, the bed has, you know, is going to go a lot further probably than this cable can. So I dug through my FT5 leftovers and I found another 1.5 meter cable, but it doesn't have the ends. So fortunately, you know, I have a workable solution. It's going to require a lot of soldering and fixing all this, but at least when I work on this tomorrow, it's just a matter of, you know, adding those wires, you know, into the bundle. Yeah, I did manually. I manually leveled the bed with paper. Yeah, well, Jesse, if you saw in one of my videos early on during the build, when we took out the bed, it had a noticeable. it definitely had a wobble to it, and even adding the substructure, you know, and putting that in there, that still bowed a bit. So the solution. I'm sorry, I wander off track here, and I'm trying not to drive you guys crazy here. But the solution, it seems to be, for what I'm seeing from other posts and from other people that have been down this path, is adding a 100 UF capacitor. And I went ahead and on on Amazon, I can't find these locally because I live here in the rural wilderness of Maine. So I bought a whole about 500 and some odd of every size capacitor that I'm going to need for this lifetime and the next one. So it appears that the X and Y end stop need to have these 100 UF capacitors added to them. The firmware needs to be adjusted to turn off the noise filtering. I've talked to John about this a little bit too, and he thought this might have been a development from the 1.1.9 version. Squirrel, yeah, almost got me. So that is what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll go ahead and start working on adjusting those wires so that they are long enough. And I'm wondering if the 1.5 meter will do it. I doubt it. I'll probably have to add some distance to that wire. But I don't want to have a huge bundle in the electronics box. So I'm going to try to measure that out as best I can. So yeah, so the carriage has that issue with shorting out if you're not careful. So make sure that you're using nylon spacers. Joshua is cranking out all kinds of nice accessories and add-ons for the FT6. So if you have an FT6 or if you're building one right now, he is definitely expanding the offerings that are available on Thingiverse for the FT6. So a big kudos to him. And the other thing that I managed to do this week, and thanks to him, and let me get the other camera here aimed upward, is what I did is we now have the filament, and then we have this nice long Capricorn tube. And let me see if I can, and there it is. So he made his own solution as far as mounting the filament. But what he has is one part here, and it clips right onto the 2020, and then you just thread on a coupler, and I had all kinds of Capricorn tubing. So now, I mean, feeding the filament from the bottom is a little tricky, granted, but at least right now when it's feeding in through there, it's got a very slippery surface to go through, being, Capricorn tubing. And my hope is that that will prevent any unraveling of the filament over the back or stuff like that. So the tweaks keep on coming, and I am hopeful that after this weekend, perhaps we'll have this thing printing reliably. Now, obviously, if I stayed stock, if I stayed with the original sensor right here, I probably would have been just fine. But I can tell you the one thing that I did notice between this and the BL Touch is my Z offset was way less with the BL Touch. I'm sure I could Google this and find out the sensitivity and things like that, but I don't know. I just don't know anything about this probe. By comparison, for example, my Easy ABL, I'm using the 18 millimeter probe on that thing, and I just got that set up on the CR10S using the Titan Aero setup, and my Z offset on that particular machine is like, 0.6. I mean, it's just like ridiculously close. When you watch that thing home, you're like, oh, is it going to hit? That's awful close. But that probe works really, really well. I'm excited to see what the BL Touch is going to offer me. I'm doing a 5x5, so it takes a long time to probe everything. But I did notice that the first time I ran the bed level analyzer through Octoprint, again, I had one side that was 2 millimeters higher than the other. After I had done the bed springs, leveled the bed, and I did have 2 successful runs with the BL Touch, I had that down to 0.2. So, a big improvement. Jesse, they are being added to the limit switches, and there's a gentleman on the forum. You would have to do a search on there because it's tough to link it out directly through here. Actually, I might have it as a saved link, but I don't know if Facebook is going to let me share that out or not. But it's a long thread, and he posts photographs that shows you exactly where you're adding these caps on the X and Y limit switch. And of course, you don't have a Z, so it's just those two. Let me see if I can. That should be under my saved. Dun dun dun. Let's see. Let's see, because I believe there's a way where I can share. Um, let's see if I can find that real quick for you. Maybe this is the one. Because there's about 20 replies, so. And that's not the one. No, okay, I could probably do this offline, but I'm just trying to. Maybe if I narrow down my search type here real quick. I think this is the one right here. I wasn't expecting so many people to be interested in that post, so hang on one second here. Let me see if this is the one that has all the answers. That's not the one. I really wish there was a way I could, I thought I had it as a saved links, so let me see. Okay, under saved. Nope, Facebook didn't save it. Well, well, well. Trying to remember, there was one guy there. He was the one that posted the images, and I'm drawing a complete blank on his name. Okay, I found 2 links. Let me see which one of these has the answers here. No. It's interesting because I literally had to go through this to find what I was looking for the last time, and I think, let's see. Hey, Paul. Hi, Ken. Yeah, that's why I was so very interested, Jesse, when you had said that, hey, I plugged mine in and I had no issues whatsoever. So, yeah. Okay, let's see if this is the one. No. This is why searching for things on Facebook is such a bugger. 21. There was one that had a lot of comments. Was it Scott that had the issue? And mine's version 2.2. I don't know what version you're. Yeah, let's see. All right, the one that has like 56 comments, I thought had the answers, but I was incorrect. Nope, that's not the one. Well, gee whiz. I thought this would be easy to find and share with you guys, but okay, that's FT5. That doesn't help us. And again, if I click on it, it doesn't show me the comments. There's always something. Well, Do, 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 do. Trying to find the gentleman who had posted about it, but I guess that is just a hill too far. Oh, John, wow, ABS? I don't even know where to start there. I don't use ABS, only because it's I found it to be very stinky. Man, I'm just having the darndest time. I think it was Judd that had the issue. Oh, sorry guys. You guys asked me if I could find it, and I thought I could find it easily, but nope. Yeah, it's of course I search BL Touch, and I pull up a ton of stuff under the FT5. Oh well, apparently. Clipper, that's interesting. I've had other people mention Clipper, and the other thing that I would love to learn, and I know several people have it up and running, is the duet. Yeah, I am stumped why this is not turning up. Let's see. Ryan Friedman. Okay, that's all right. Let me see if I can share this. I think I might have found something. Let's see. I can save post. Let's see if this links. Hang on. Let's do a cut and paste on my other screen here. Okay, this might be it. Okay, here we go. Let me share this one. And it'll truncate that badly, but if you read the very last part of it where Ryan chimes in, he seems to have some answers. Let's see. Let's see if this is the one. Ah, this is the better one. This is the better one. Okay, he had said Paxton Evans, you need to disable end-stop noise filter. Okay, let me give you this link too. For those that are looking for it, here we go. There's some more information. Okay, so there's two links there. Sorry, we kind of got sidetracked. I thought I could easily find that because anyone else that wants to make these mods for their FT6 should have that information. I'd still like to find the post that had the actual pictures that he had mentioned. Let's see. The other thing. Is there a picture? He posted a photo somewhere. Here they are. Here they are. Okay, if you one more time, if you scroll way down to the bottom here, there are pictures of where. I'm trying to find the right one here. Dun, dun, I just had the. Yep. So he has pictures of where the capacitors wind up going. So I'm going to click on save video, even though that was a different issue, but you know how it is on Facebook, they all get cross-linked or what have you. So there we go. Let me close out all of this stuff. Voila. All right. Let's get my face away from that. So that's where I'm at with the FT6. I'm hopeful that the addition of those caps on those two locations, and then the next thing, we're right back to wiring management. I mean, as you can see from the top view, I do have that this guy wrapped up in the spiral wrap, which seems to work fairly well. Yeah, well, it's like Chris Soros had mentioned, you know, this would be a good thing to have on the FolderTech forum, but I don't know how much traffic that forum gets. I mean, I have a web forum as well too, and I mean, it still gets good traffic, but not everyone posts or shares information. So, one thing I was thinking is, as I do my upgrade or repairs or whatever you want to call it, I think probably what I should do is record it as a video and share it on YouTube as a, hey, if you're doing this BL Touch upgrade, you know, here's one of the suggested ways to do it, and at least it'll be available in the world of search engines for FT6 builders. But yeah, I understand. I mean, come on, the new Avengers movie's out right now, and I've been kind of avoiding Facebook because I don't want any spoilers. I want to see the film this weekend. But so that's where we're at with the FT6. The good news is that the part cooling fan that I found on Thingiverse, the 40mm fan, that stuff all works. So we have part cooling fan working. I'm not sure what I want to do as far as this. I'm not crazy about these huge Bowden tubes. So I've been trying to avoid the temptation to think about changing the hot end. Yes, I agree with you. I miss forums as well too. Which reminds me, I should probably go ahead and plug mine real quick. Let me share that link with you guys. If you guys are bulletin board users, that is my website, 3dprintingforum.us. .us because every stinking clever name was taken or being squatted on. I mean, the domains were taken, but there were no websites. But so .us it was. And I started that with Anders Olsen as an outgrowth of our frustrations with the Ultimaker web forum software that they had over there. He said, gee, it'd be nice if there was another place to talk 3D printers. And I said, gee, we should build a forum. And he said, you do that. So we did. And there's a, not to toot my own horn, but hey, it's my channel, right? There is a lot of great conversations there. There's a lot of great information there as well. It's not any brand specific. I got guys in there that are huge Hicktop users. I got guys like myself that are, you know, CR10 and FolderTech and Ultimaker. So there's no slant of one's better than the other. It's just a bunch of guys talking about the tech, and we tried to break it up into a bunch of clever little sub forums. And you guys are more than welcome to come check it out. It's Getting in there is fairly simple. If you can't get past the anti-spam questions, well, let me know. But yeah, that is the web form. I've had that going for about, wow, I think it's close to 5 years now. So not the biggest site on the internet, but we do have a lot of fun bouncing questions off of each other, or if we've seen anything newsworthy, we like sharing it. So yeah, so whether you're just a reader or if you're a reader and a one that likes to pose questions and start a discussion, come on over. You're welcome. The other success this week was the CR10S. As you may recall, I mentioned last week that it had a clogged solid on me, and it turned out that my retraction settings needed some help. I was using the E3D default settings. They had recommended, I think it was 0.8 for distance and then 30 millimeters a second for the retraction speed. And it turns out that was way too slow. So I have upped it to 50 millimeters per second. I heard back from David Petzel, who is the maker of the Evolved duct, which we are using on the CR10. And of course, you've probably seen his stuff, the Fang and all kinds of other ducts that he makes for the CR10, TiVo, and stuff like that. Do they have a sub? There are guys on there that print ABS. Like I said, for myself, I just found it to be a stinky material. So, if you have an enclosure, if you know the manufacturer's filament inside and out. I know a lot of people that print with the absolute cheapest stuff they can find on Amazon, and as a result, your mileage may vary on your printing and on your settings as well. So, but yeah, check them out. Yeah, the only thing that I hated worse than ABS was carbon fiber. I think carbon fiber is completely all hype. If the advantage of carbon fiber is the weave. That's what makes it as strong as it is, because it's a fabric, and and it's laid on there with epoxy and what have you, and boom, you have a super strong material. 3D printing only lays it down in one direction, so it'll look pretty, it'll wear the crap out of your nozzle if you're not using something that's hardened steel or a ruby line nozzle or something like that. But given how fussy it is to print with that, I haven't seen where anything... All the testing I've seen on carbon fiber filament has been it's no better than PLA. So maybe there's one out there. I think Nylon X is a little bit better because the nylon's in there. But I think you'll find that a filament like that is more trouble than it's worth. And it's very hydroscopic too, if the nylon one. So depends how much of a hassle you enjoy giving yourself. So... But the CR10, now that I have replaced the nozzle and the heat break, and I'm using those new settings, the test prints I've gotten off that, and I've been posting them on the Facebook page for the channel, where Nerdy is Cool, and also on Instagram, where Nerdy is Cool, and those prints have come out outstanding. So I am going to give it a larger print to do tomorrow, and if that passes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some more final calibrations. What I'll do is I'll stick this is kind of cheesy, but I take a golf pencil and I line it up on a ruler, and then I tape it to the print head, and then I tell the printer to move 10 millimeters and make sure that it's actually doing 10 millimeters based on where it is on the ruler. So yeah, we're doing E-steps, but we're doing mechanical checks to make sure that the printer is actually, if it does 10 millimeters, it really does 10 millimeters, not, 9.9 or whatever. Because if we're going to start doing big prints for Mr. BB-8 back here, and we have a lot of printing to do, we want to make sure that everything is dimensionally accurate, because it would suck to print something for 48 hours and discover that, yeah, it's not off. It's not working right. I've had really good luck with PLA. The other one that I like a lot is PETG is a little bit fussy, a little bit stringy, but this material is a little bit more money. But from ColorFab, they have the Engine series, NGEN, and I found that works very well. And that's actually what I've been using for the. It's very similar to PETG. It's a copolyester. And that's what I printed this duct in, the one that's on the CR10S right now. I mean, PLA has a transition temperature of 60 degrees Celsius. This stuff has a transition temperature of 80 degrees Celsius. So it's going to survive okay, near some heat for a while. Needle and a ruler, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Rui Raptor has a really great video on YouTube on how to do all that stuff to make sure that everything is accurate on your printer. I know, most people, they don't do that step because one, they don't know, and number two, it requires a little bit of work to do it just right. You'd like to think that the printer you've unboxed and slapped together is going to be just perfect, but as some of us folks who've done kits or been doing this for a couple of years have learned the hard way that, yeah, you print a 20 by 20 by 20 cube, and sometimes one side's 18, one side's 21, the other side is 19. So, yeah, they do take a little bit of fine tuning. So it's better to find out those things when you're printing little cubes versus something that is going to be close to 2 feet tall. Yep, Jake from State Farm, you nailed it. Yep. But this week I completed that 10-page term paper. That thing was hanging over my head. I'd done a bunch of edits and revisions all week long, and finally cranked it out rather, and turned it in last night. And I'm just relieved to have that over and done. It was from my aviation history class. We had to write about a world record-holding aircraft and why it was still relevant here in the modern time. So I did mine on the Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird, which was the Mach 3 reconnaissance airplane, and it was built in the 60s. Back in the day before we had supercomputers, they did everything with slide rules and a lot of testing. And yeah, they literally had to invent a new technology to work with titanium and to work with other, you had to deal with these super high temperatures that conventional materials, just couldn't stand. So I mention it here because we're dealing with a lot of stuff with filaments and heat and that kind of thing. So I do not have a college degree, yet I work in IT for a college, and I've been in IT for, oh boy, going on, well, let's do the math here, almost 25 years. So since I work for a university and there are some benefits as an employee, I have been working on my aviation science degree. Part of me would like to make a career change. My first love has always been flying. I started flying when I was 13, got my student permit at 16, and I got my license at 22. And unfortunately, I was not a very focused student. I would have much rather, in hindsight, I'd like a do-over. I'd much rather have been flying F-16s, F-15s, or what have you. But because, like most people at that age group, once you're out of high school and you've done a couple courses in college, you want to do your own thing. So I was a bartender. I had motorcycles. I chased all the girls, all that stuff. I was in the military, but I really didn't have my act together until I was about 27, 28. And as some of you may know, in military terms, if you want to be a pilot, that's old age. So by the time I had my act together and a couple college credits, I did not qualify. So I'm one of those guys that when I buy a Powerball ticket, I'm the one that's probably going to try to purchase the retired Russian MiG-29 and make a bunch of noise and make use of any extra hydrocarbons that are available. Yeah, Scott Manley has a great channel on that stuff. So yeah, so as far as the paper goes, it was great to. I had a great idea of what I wanted to write, but when you have that blank Word document in front of you and it has to be at least 7 pages, you start typing and you're just why am I not on page 7 already? So yes, so that's my major. I'd like to do that. It's interesting because back in the late 80s when I got out of high school, student loans weren't a given like they are now. I mean, the government is in charge of student loans now. I mean, you can walk into any college and say, hey, I want to take this course. Great, sign here. Here's a FAFSA, and here's all the money you need. And they give you a little bit of education on, well, just be aware that, that when you take all these loans out, you're responsible. But back in those days, getting student loans was a whole lot harder. And I was accepted to a flight school I wanted to go to, but unfortunately, Mom and Dad both worked for a living. We didn't get a whole lot of breaks. I wasn't exactly the most stellar student. I didn't get straight A's, but I was up there. So anyway, long story short, getting the financial resources to attend the flight school was out of our reach. Hello, Keith. Oh, John Thompson asks if I've heard back anything on Folgertech updating the instructions and things on the FT6. I do wish he would communicate better. I know that in my conversations with him, he has a lot going on right now. He's doing the packing and shipping right now, and I just don't think there's enough hours in the day for him to get out all the messaging he'd like to get out. I would have loved to have seen them got ahead of the issue they're having with the PCB, causing some people to have those shorts. Fortunately, there's a lot of active users, I'm guilty of that, on the Folgertech forum, so that if people are at least regulars on the Facebook page, they're getting the latest information about the kit. I did reach out to him the other day and I said, hey, can I get the official voltage requirements as far as the stepper drivers and stuff like that? Because I wouldn't mind, now that I have this school burden off my shoulders, I wouldn't be opposed to doing a video saying, okay, here, you've completed the build, and here are your next steps. And I would just like to know officially from him that, what should the voltages be on those stepper drivers. I know what works for me, but I would just like to know officially, how that's all set up. Because it's unfortunate right now that the printer in the assembly manual is, I'd give it a B+. There's a lot of areas that could obviously be better, and we've talked about that in the past. But the fact that it refers to a setup guide that doesn't exist, it would be cool if those of us that have built the FT6 or are building the FT6 could come together as a community and either craft a video or a document or something that helps those guys out that are going to be getting their kits, and maybe they're not on Facebook, maybe they're not as active as we are on social media to get all this information. So it'd be nice to put something out there and just, I don't want to say handhold, but, look, they're customers. They deserve to be treated well, and let's give them that information. Yeah, you got some good points there. Right, Keith. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and yeah, the SKR stuff or the Duet Wi-Fi. Yeah, those are some. Unfortunately, with my limited budget, I don't have the spare cash to throw at those things right now, but they are very enticing. But so anyway, like the FT5 guide has, they have the FT5 manual. The final version of it that I saw, did have the basic voltages and the basic ranges that they should have. Right now, we have nothing. So it'd be nice to provide the customer at least something saying, okay, look, okay, you got the printer together. Okay, let's walk you through the stepper voltage. Here's the range they should be for the extruder. For an X, Y, and Z. Great, let's do that. And then walk them through, how do they get that first print? How do they Repetir host? What if they don't use Repetir host? What if we want to have them go through, Pronterface, and go ahead and test, and show them how to home everything. So stuff like that is definitely missing, I understand. There's a lot of people that, and I chimed in on this week. There are some people that, well, if they're having difficulty, they get flamed with that. Well, it's a kit. What did you expect? Well, I expected some good documentation so I could make the thing frickin' print. So I don't think it's unreasonable for the customer to expect some excellent documentation that gets them to the point where they're actually printing. So, and if John is too tasked right now and needs some help doing that, I think us as a community, if we're willing, should be happy to pitch in and do that. Well, I am the best. You should be definitely talking to Keith Ward because I know he's a big fan of the SKR. We've had some great phone conversations talking about things like that. Actually, what I should do in the future here is we should have a guest on this evening program that we do once a week. And I know there is a plugin here for OBS Streamlabs where we can plug in Skype. So, maybe, I mean, I know Keith has a radio face, as he likes to remind me, but we could definitely do a nice video link up here, and we could talk about a couple of these things that we've come across. You have the hybrid cube working. Wow. Nicely done. Yeah, as you guys may recall, a couple months ago, we were debating which way to go. We had received a generous discount from Folgertech on the FT6, and we received a nice discount on the Hypercube if you wanted to put that together as part of a live stream, education series. Putting it together and making a bunch of videos on it. Well, the problem with that analogy, Keith, is that there is a manual that tells you what octane gas to put in. It tells you exactly how to open the glove box. It tells you the proper inflation of the tires, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, I mean, the manufacturers do provide you some basic configuration information, and I think that's deserved here for these customers for the FT6. Because again, remember the big thing here, and I hate to be the one that's thinking on the marketing side here, but for example, here with the FT6, this is a very large volume printer. It's fun to put together. There's some frustrations along the way, and we've offered suggestions on how to improve the documentation. But here's the thing, okay? If us as customers and fans of John's company, if we can improve things so it's even easier to print, or I'm sorry, even easier to assemble correctly, and then get the customer to the next level where they're up and printing, that's good publicity. I mean, that's going to sell more printers, and ideally that's what John is in the business of doing, is selling printer kits. So I mean, as it currently sits right now, you have a documentation that, unless you have an electrical engineering background or a mechanical engineering background, I mean, there's always going to be those guys, okay, that they could put this printer together with, a CAD drawing and a low resolution photograph. The rest of us who are very detail oriented like to follow every step along the way. And if they make it more like that, it reduces frustration and you sell more printers. I don't see how you lose. 5160? Yeah, you got it, John. See, my background is my background is retail. I mean, growing up, all my part-time jobs were, either waiting tables or bartending. So I was pounded with customer service. Then my part-time jobs were, working in retail. I worked at a software store. Then when I was working for a software company doing tech support and technical writing, I was writing the manuals. So over my life, it's really been beat into my brain here that, if we want to sell and be successful, we have to make sure that our product is as polished as possible. And so that's what I'm saying. I'm not beating up anybody. I'm not saying Keith is wrong. I'm not saying John is wrong with Folgertech. I'm just saying, hey, we all agree it could be better. Let's make it better. Yeah, I'm like you, JDC. I mean, you've seen my videos. You guys have all sat in here and watched me build, and I do try to whenever I'm doing a new build, I read through the manual and I read through it once or twice, and there's a few steps that might kind of throw me off, but until you have the parts and pieces in front of you, sometimes it doesn't make a whole lot of sense until your arm's deep in it. So that's all I got to say on that topic. I'd say, yeah, I don't want to go on and on about that too much, but I am hopeful, as I mentioned earlier, if you guys had just tuned in, that tomorrow I'm going to start working on those wires. Thanks to a nice link from my friend Keith, I have enough resistors till the end of time. Oh, we're not going to do that tonight, Keith. No, actually, I'm gonna probably wrap the video up tonight's live stream here fairly soon. I got a bunch of things I want to do here before bedtime, but I enjoy the nerd chat, so it's awesome to get in touch with everybody. All the cats are spoiled rotten. Those idiots. Yeah, actually, it's one stalking me and one sleeping over there. So the usual. They like to remind me that I stay here, they live here. There's a difference. So that's fine. That's fine. Typical cat. Looking through your chat buffer here real quick. So yeah, I've got a weekend where I don't have to work on a term paper anymore. I can play with the printers. I'm gonna task that CR10S with the Titan Aero a bigger print job, and just to make sure I have everything dialed in properly. I would like to start doing some work on my FT5. My FT5 needs a little bit of work. No dual color yet. No. Actually, that's going to be a great question because JDC, there's Molly, Theodore, and Mama Cat. Mama Cat is the calico. She's the queen of the house. Dual color printing, I'm curious how that's going to work on this hot end. I'm not a big fan of these, 2-into-1 hot ends. So part of me is predicting a really ugly jam. The other part of me would love to be suddenly surprised. Honestly, I would love to have two separate print heads. I'd like to have one that does PLA. I'd like to have one that does PVA, the dissolvable support. So that would be perfect for me. But I haven't seen too many setups where you have multiple print heads in a kit. So we'll see. Live stream on the. Oh, I probably could. I mean, once I get I won't bore you guys to tears. Cutting and snipping and soldering all these wires together that I have to work on. But yeah, I could throw that up as a live stream. As the other thing I received, I have it on my FT5, but the parts of the FT5 are made for it to connect to it. I bought the cable chains that Folgertech carries for the FT5 kit, and I bought them for the FT6, thinking maybe it's a better idea to use these cable chains than trying to dangle wires everywhere. But the catch is, again, another modification I don't know how I'm going to do, but we shall see. But yeah, I can do that tomorrow. I can throw the cameras on, and we'll go through, and we'll put a dedicated stepper wire on the Y motor. We'll do the soldering of the capacitors to the X and Y limit switches, and then knock on wood, the BL Touch should work after I adjust the firmware and ram out the noise filtering part. You enjoy watching me struggle. Oh, that's great. I'm glad you enjoy it. No, I'll be honest. Like I said, I enjoy the live streams that I for other channels that I follow. I enjoy watching the ones that Tom Salandra does with Tom's 3D. I haven't seen the 3D printing nerd isn't much of a builder. He's more of a a grand overview of the tech. But yeah, Tom is definitely one of my favorites. There's a few other guys that run streams every now and then. I like tuning in for those. And of course, I'm a huge fan of SpaceX and that stuff. So whenever those guys are launching rockets, I'm tuning into those as well. But yeah, that's all I got tonight. I think I'm going to give it a wrap. This way I can get to bed at a decent time. And then tomorrow, after gym time, I can go ahead and get to work on this because I would love to get the FT6 doing some printing, and I want to test the CR10S, and then the FT5. I want to mess with that some more. Someone sent me some really good instructions on how to change the drivers on that. I have a bunch of not 2130s, but 2208 drivers, and It might be fun to upgrade the old FT5 and install a BL Touch on that one. Since I'm kind of on a streak here, hey, if I can get one BL Touch working, maybe I can get one working on the FT5, which has a very badly warped bed. So that's it. If you guys haven't already given me a thumbs up down below, give me a thumbs up that you liked the video. As always, I thank you guys for tuning into my live streams, participating in the chat. To those of you that have been, throwing me donations here via either the super chat or via the PayPal link in the description, thank you very much. That's enabled me to make some nice upgrades here to the video. That's why you can see and hear in better quality. So thank you very much. That certainly helps the channel out. And it helps you guys out too, because, well, you get to hear and see me better. So thank you very much. If you're not already a subscriber, bang the button, become one. And as always, remember, this is where nerdy is cool. I wish you guys good night. Thanks for tuning in. Have a frosty foamy. Be nice to each other. Give more hugs. Be nice to cats. There you go. I can't think of anything more to close out the session. Thanks for watching. Good night.